This is Chapter 8, Arrays. You can think of an array as like a list of something. For example, if I had a list of numbers, 7, 2, 1, 5, 3, and 4. Okay, so I had those. Well, in Excel, they're in a specific position here. I started at row 2 and went down to row 7. So it went from A2 to A7. In programming, we need to refer to the position. That's oftentimes called the index. Now, as weird as this seems, the first number will be in position 0. And then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. There's a reason for that. It has to do with the offset. Like if I were to put all these numbers right next to each other in memory, the 0 indicates the offset. So index of 0 means that there is no offset. It's the first number. So when we're working with these, we'll have to loop through, for example, 0 to 5. Now, array can be a sequence of values, integers, doubles, or any other type, but all values in an array must have the same type. This is how you declare them, kind of like what we saw before, except for before we just had the data type and then the name. Here we have to have brackets after the data type. Let me create a new one. Arrays, array example. Okay, so I'm going to right click on that. Actually, go down to the source package and actually right click on this one and choose new JFrame form. Array straight. And click finish. And jump on a text field and a button. Our goal is to take our list of numbers we have over here in Excel, and we want to add those together. So that's where we're headed. I'll make them integers. I'll right click on this one. Right click on that one, say edit text, and change it to add. Right click on this one, say edit text, do a backspace. Besides that, right click on that one and change variable name. TF submit. So right click on add. And I'm going to choose events, mouse clicked. Okay, so we first need to declare the array. int equals numbers. Oh, equals. There we go. Now to create the instance of the array, we have to do the name we just declared equals new, and then data type, and then in brackets the size. Now the size. This one is going from position 0 to 5. If I count them up, there's six in here. So my size will be 6. So if I come over here, numbers equal to int, oops, new, 6. And that's, again, create an instance of it, set the size. Now, accessing the elements. So we're talking about they start at 0 for the indexing. And this shows you an example down here. To access the elements, you do your name that you declared, and then a bracket, and then the index number, and then closing bracket, which means up here I'll say numbers 0 is equal to 7. Numbers 1 is equal to 2. Numbers 2 equal to 1. Number 3 is equal to 5. Numbers 4 is equal to 3. And numbers 5 is equal to 4. Okay, so that's going to initialize all those values in my array. It's also a way that you can do it when you declare it. I don't think they give you an example here, which is just, well, I don't think you'd ever want to do that. Now this shows that you can treat those just like variables. See how this refers to count 0 times 2? So you can refer to those as variables. You can loop through it, where instead of a number being in there, you have a variable. So we said we want to add these together, so let's do that. Now you can do the for loop or a while loop. Let me show the while loop. Int index equals 0. Int length is equal to say, excuse me. And while index is less than or equal to length, is less than length, I also need sum, I guess. Then sum is going to equal to sum plus numbers and then index. And then I'll increase index by 1. Okay, so my index started as 0. I'm going to keep increasing it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Now I want to continue on index is less than length. Length is 6. You might say, well, wouldn't you want the equal in there? No, because if you remember over here, it says a length of 6, but the indexing only goes from 0 to 5. It always goes 1 less if you start at 0. That's why you have to do a less than on your comparing against your length. Okay, so then I'll sum those and increase that. Okay, string the value of, let's just as toString, which we'll see. Then sum. Okay, now if I run that, Drink here. Gives me 22. I don't know if that's right or not. Nope, that's right, 22. Okay, so that's showing you how to loop through it. Now, a for loop. Set my sum back to equal to 0. And for my for loop, let's say for int x equals 0, continue while x is less than length, x plus plus, and sum is equal to sum plus numbers index. And with the for loop, we can have it all together. The initialization, the Boolean check, and the increment. Now if I run that. Oh, not index. I want that to be x. Okay. Now that's one way, and you could do a kind of a clunky way to do that. Instead of hard coding the numbers, you could have them put it in the text box. Each time they clicked it, they added it to the list of numbers. Not really slick, but we'll look at better ways. There's the for loop I was talking about. Displaying an array, they show that, but we're going to handle that differently. Copying array. We're just looping through the array entries and then saying b sub I is equal to a sub I. Or there's an arrays function or function class. So if I type array dot, you'll see all different type of things pop up. No sort. Unless it's arrays. There it goes. I was wondering why it wasn't popping up. And so there's a sort feature, so you can sort them. Sort them, ranges them from whatever to whatever. Could be arranging them ascending, smallest to largest, or descending from largest to smallest. I don't think there's much else way you could do it, but you see there's a lot of different options. It'll say you can sort from an index to an index, keeping in mind the zero-based indexing. You also see there's a search. Binary search. Copy of fill. That almost implies you can fill it with numbers. Mismatch. Parallel sort. So forth. Okay. Array length we've already talked about. You can put it right inside of a for loop or while loop. Here I hard-coded array length, but what happens if I put another number in there? Then I have to make sure I change that. So instead of referring to the length there, you can say numbers dot length. A lot of different programming languages provide this capability. Length is something that tells you how many entries you have. Talks about traversing through the array, talks about random numbers. This is kind of a nice way to populate a list. So I'll let you read that. It's pretty simple, really. You do random, and then whatever your variable name is, they call theirs random with little r, equals new random. And then you come up with your size of your array and loop through and generate however many random numbers you need. The random.nextInt 100, I think returns a random number from 0 to 99. I don't say it. I don't remember exactly. But you got traverse and count. That's more statistics. The enhanced for loop for int value colon value, so you can right here loop through an array. And that's it. Okay, now the main part of what I want to show here is how to work with this list of numbers in a more efficient manner in Java. A couple drink here. Okay. That's clunky because we hard coded it. Bringing a number one at a time would be clunky too. What we have in Java is something called a list. List is a list of numbers. And the reason why I bring it up here is because it goes hand in hand with an array concept. An array is a list of whatever. Well, this is a list of whatever. The difference is that this visually shows it. Notice by default it has item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, and item 5. I right click on it, I want to give it a variable name. Change variable name, I'll call it list underscore numbers. Over here, you'll see one that says model. And if I click the 3 little dots to the right of it, this brings up my model editor. Model is, you can think of it as like a copy, a separate list that we'll maintain. It's different than other programming languages. And you can just come in here and type whatever you want, by the way. Okay. Now, first thing, let me create a button to clear the list. So I'll have a button maybe right here. I'll right click on this and I'll choose edit text and I'll say clear. Right click on that and choose events, mouse clicked. I got this code over here. First off, let me go ahead and put our clear in there. Okay. Right up at the very top, right below where you declare your main public or public class. Then you want to put this line of code. Default list model mod equals new default list model. The default list model has to be exactly as you see it. If I press Alt Enter, it's asking me to bring in the library. And I choose top one, choose add import for Java X swing.default list model. Now the mod can be called wherever you want. I called it mod because I figured model was a reserved word, so I made it a little bit smaller. And that not only declares a default list model, but creates a new instance of it. Okay, I can't find it, so let me right click on this and choose events, mouse clicked. There we go. Now, the mod is like a separate list, so it's not attached to our list number at this point. So this is just clearing it out. Now, once we have it cleared out, then we go to our list, which we call list underscore numbers, and we do a dot set model. And so that transfers over the model that you've been maintaining in your code over into the list component. Now, if I run that, press clear, you see it clears my list. Okay, now we're going to be entering numbers in here. So, back to my design, I need a text field. You drop a button on there. Right click on a button, choose edit text, add dash greater than, make it look pleasing. Right click on this one, choose edit text, backspace. Right click on that, change variable name, tf underscore number. Okay, now we want to program the add button. So right click on that, choose events, mouse clicked. Let's see. Add mouse clicked, list mouse clicked, numbers mouse clicked, move. Okay, must be this one here. Okay. So now, to add in that number, we say list underscore numbers dot set model mod. So that's taking my separate list and it's attaching it to the list numbers. And it seems weird sometimes because up here we did a clear on then we attached it. Here we're attaching it, and then we're making changes to the list. But we have dot add element, and then it has a tf underscore number dot get text. So this will take whatever they put into the text blank and add it to the model. And by adding it to the model, it should automatically appear directly on the list. Okay. So then we're going to do a tf underscore number dot set text to empty string. That's going to blank out the field so we can then put more data into it. Now sometimes you can do like a focus or set focus. I'm not sure if this has it. I don't see it. That didn't matter, but let's run that. Now I can clear my list there. My first number in 3, 4. I'm clicking over here, put the cursor over there, and then clicking this to add it. Sometimes when you click the button, it doesn't actually take. So that's kind of frustrating. Okay. So we're looking at building our list. So this is a lot cleaner than hard coding it or doing that strange way of adding numbers. This is how you, in a GUI application, this is how you would allow the person to enter numbers. Grab another drink here. Now we need to have some way to remove items from the list. So we'll come over here and I'll right click on this and I'd say edit text, less than dash remove. So when you click an item and click remove, it'll get rid of it. Okay, so let's see, events, mouse click. There it is. Okay, so we declare a variable called select index. This will be whichever one they have selected. And I say select index is equal to list underscore numbers dot get selected index. This will retrieve whichever one I have selected and assign it to my selected index. Then I do a mod dot remove, and then we associate the model with the list component. Again, seems backwards to me. Seems like you should make the association first and then remove it. And it'll remove whatever entries at that position, that selected index. This will blow up if I don't do something appropriate, and I'll talk about that and how we can change this. Okay, if I click item 3 here, and then click remove, that's interesting. Okay, if I click 4, click remove. I wonder why it blew up on that. Maybe because I hadn't made an association between the model to find my code and the list. That could be. Anyway, if I click remove. Now if I click remove here, though you can't see it because it already blew up one time, it blew up again. So let's talk about that. I wonder if it is because I hadn't created that here. Um, I don't know. I think about that one. Okay, so I got the remove working, except for if you don't highlight something, it blows up. Blows up the other currents also. Now, if you don't highlight something, your selected index. Where's it? Down here. If you don't highlight something, your selected index should be negative. If you click something, it should be 0 or above. So I'm going to say if selected index is greater than or equal to 0, that means I can do this. I'll try to move again. I'm just curious. Array index out of bounds. 2 is greater than or equal to 0. 0, 1, 2. I'm doing a remove without association. List underscore numbers dot set model mod. Guess most of the time I just input my numbers anyway, so that's got me puzzled though. Okay, now let's run it for real and see if we can get to blow up with by not choosing something. Okay, so clear that, put some numbers in there. Okay, so click remove there, it gets rid of that. If I click remove here, nothing gets removed, but if I do select something, that'll get removed. Okay, now I want to loop through, now that I got all that in there, I want to loop through adding numbers together. Okay, so I can use my same add button, but I'll come up with a new one. Right click on this one, let's say change variable name, tf underscore sum. Right click on that, edit text, backspace, resize it. Right click on this one and choose edit text, add. Right click on it, choose events, mouse clicked. And there it is. Okay, so I initialize my sum to 0. I'm looping through x equals 0, and I got mod.getSize. You might be saying, well, why do you do that? You know, you originally said for your array that you let's see if I found my code. I refer to numbers.length. Well, there's a problem with the numbers.length is if I don't actually have valid numbers in some of these, I'll go ahead and add them anyway. The down here, when I do a get size, this refers to exact number of entries that are in there, not the theoretical number, length or count, but the actual count of numbers that are in there. And you notice it still starts at 0 and still goes less than the length, than x plus plus. And then I do a mod dot get in order to retrieve a value from our model. And the X refers to the, again, the indexing, or you can think of this as an array, because that's the concept it's built upon. And then dot toString, which converts it to a string, and then the integer, which converts it to an integer, which I then add to sum, give me my new sum. And then down here, I'll print out the result of the sum. Okay, clear that. 3, 1. Add, and we get 4. Now I could come over and put these in now. 7, 2, 1. Five, 3, 4. And I click my add and I get my 22. So that gives me the same result. Okay. Let's see if there's any projects I can assign here. Some of these are just kind of strange. Exercise 8.4 wouldn't be too bad. Write a method called index of max, takes an array of integers and returns the index of the largest element. But they didn't cover about how to pass that in to an array, or array in a method. So don't worry about the method part, just put it behind a button. Unless I missed it, I don't see why they put that in there. Let's see here. If I remember how to do it. Come up here, public, sum, add numbers. And I'll be passing in a int. What if I need a size on that? We'll see. Numbers. Oh, we need to return an integer. Paste that in. And let me think here. Models global, so we're fine there. That's referring to the global completely. Okay, then return sum. Except for sum's probably not a good thing. How about up here I say calculate sum. Okay, invalid method declaration, return type expected. Missing Java doc, return type required. It acts like it doesn't like the brackets. Public int of a private. Return an integer, calculates. Okay, add numbers. Okay, no errors. So then down here, I'm going to call add numbers. Am I even using numbers? So I'm not passing in an array. I'm accessing it directly. Okay, never mind. You don't need that. Because the models define at the global level. With how we're doing. Okay, so let's just run that. Okay. Yeah, so I'll sign that one. But in addition to the exercise 8.4, what I want you to do is I want you to be able to have them input a list of numbers through the list component that we just looked at. So they should build a list, and when you click a button, it should come back and call the index of max, and it should return the largest item. Now, do not use any of the sort features. Do not use any of the special characteristics of arrays. Do this all just by looping through, like I've been showing. Yeah, that's probably good enough. Okay, so exercise 8.4. We'll go ahead and stop there. We're done with the chapter, and I've shown you as much as I want to show on that.